The police received an anonymous tip. A male caller told them to check for a dead body in the ventilation shaft of an apartment building on Crooker Street. The police did so, and sure enough, there was a dead body in the vent that belongs to a young girl, wrapped in newspapers and a note sheet. The call was tracked, and it led the police to the friend of a 12-year-old girl who had actually seen the body. Now, it turns out that this girl was actually friends with the killers, two slightly older girls named Antonia and Marie. In fact, they invited her to the apartment where the body was. They told her what they had done, but she didn't believe them. So they led her to the vent where the body lay. The girl was frozen in fear upon seeing the body, which apparently wasn't the reaction the two girls expected. So, to keep her quiet, they threatened her. If you ever tell anyone, you'll end up laying right next to her. Welcome to the first episode of Crime Time. I'm your host, Jordan Wayne. Now, today's episode follows the rather sad story of the murder of Margarita Gergenenova, a young girl who used to live with her mother in Plovdiv, Bulgaria. Now, without wasting any more of your time, let's begin at the start of it all. March 5th, 2004. Margarita's mom gets a little worried when her kid hasn't come home yet. The sun was setting and she was already preparing dinner. So Margarita's mom calls all her friends, relatives, basically anyone who knows her. She calls Antonia first, and Antonia told her that Margarita had gone out with her cousin Dimitar, which immediate red flag because Margarita's mom knows no cousin Dimitar. She finally called the cops after having called everyone she could think of, but the cops are like, she's probably engaging in some underage drinking. She'll be back soon, don't worry. Apparently, this kind of behavior was common in teens at this age and at this time, and this explanation was understandable for Margarita's mom, because even though her daughter's case was an important priority, they still started looking for her. 4 days since the missing person report was issued, cops received an anonymous tip. A male caller told them to check for a dead body in the attic ventilation system of an apartment building on Crooker Street. The police did so, and sure enough, there was a dead body belonging to a young girl in the vent just above the 8th floor. The body was stripped to her underwear and wrapped in newspapers and a note sheet. The anonymous call was tracked, and it turns out it belonged to the friend of a 12-year-old girl who had actually seen the body. That's where it gets real interesting, because this 12-year-old girl, let's call her Ali, was friends with both Antonia and Maria. Turns out they met on March 8th, where the two had told Ali what they had done, but Ali didn't believe them. So they led her to the body to show her. Understandably, Ali freezes and she's scared out of her mind, which apparently wasn't the reaction these two girls were expecting, because according to later reports, they were expecting excitement and congratulations at this achievement. But because this little girl reacted like a normal human being with a functioning brain, they threatened her to keep her mouth shut. Ali was brave though. She knew she had to tell someone, but she was too scared to tell the cops. So she told her friend, who gave the cops that anonymous tip earlier. So the cops believed Ali's story because everything up until this point was lining up. The apartment below the vent shaft where the body was found did belong to Antonia's dad. And in the apartment itself, the cops found a plastic bag with Margarita's clothes, missing clothes, and other personal items. And with that, the cops made the arrest. Now, as these two girls were being led into the station, Antonia sees Ali and the little friend that snitched and reportedly made a throat-slitting gesture at Ali, while Maria told them they might want to be careful what they gave to the cops, otherwise they might end up regretting it later. In the police station, in front of the cops. So the cops called Margarita's mom after they had solved the case. They didn't say much on the phone, only that she needed to pull up to the station immediately, which she did because she believed the daughter to be found alive. According to other sources, when she got there, instead of the cops approaching her with a comforting voice and a consoling tone, they were just straight up blunt. Ma'am, your daughter was killed. We found her body in clothes, but she wasn't raped. We found the killers too. They're detained. They don't even give her a chance to brace herself for a warning. It held like a brick wall. And when she managed to ask who they had arrested, they didn't tell her. In fact, they said something along the lines of, "You would be surprised if you found out." She had to find out about the killers in the newspaper along with everybody else. Imagine. Speaking of these killers, 14-year-old Antonia Mateva, or Mateo, I don't know how to pronounce that, She was described by her teachers as nervous, irritable, and prone to anger over trivial matters. The girl kept finding ways to skip class and collected 8 failing grades by the end of the first semester. The only class she did take seriously though was her judo lessons, which she took outside of school. And then there's Margarita Gergenenova, Antonia's friend, who was also 14. She didn't have it too good at home. Mom and dad were going through a bad divorce and the finances were giving them even harder time. The family couldn't afford for her daughter what most students had, which made little Miss Maria feel inadequate compared to them. One upside though was that Maria was gifted, a pretty smart child she was. She was in classes for advanced children and competing on Olympians and stuff like that. When these two met and became friends, Maria joined Antonia in her streak of skipping class to drink and smoke marijuana at 14 years old, by the way. Maria also had another interesting friend, who she had known since the first grade, Margarita Gergenenova, who later became Antonia's friend as well. Now, Margarita was interesting because she was everything these girls wanted to be. Though she was living with her mother as the result of a dramatic divorce, she was described as beautiful, cheerful, fun. Basically, she was the popular kid, and all the little boys swooned over her. So what really went down? Well, let's turn back the clock to the day it all began. March 5th, 2004. Maria and Margarita show up at Antonia's apartment when her parents weren't there. They all watched TV for a bit before Antonia and Maria went out to the balcony to pass some herb. Later, Maria offered to show Margarita a chokehold, just to show off what Antonia had been learning in judo. Completely innocent, right? So they take turns choking her out. Each time, they were wrapping their hands tighter around Margarita's throat, showing no signs of stopping or concern for Margarita's well-being. Eventually, Margarita found it harder and harder to breathe, yelling, "Let go, you crazy, you're going to kill me," without realizing that that was the whole point. Now just imagine that must have been so scary. You're a kid playing with your friends and they want to show you something they learned in judo. And each time they try their moves on you, it gets increasingly more intense. Eventually you realize that they ain't gonna stop, and this goes from this is actually pretty impressive to realizing that you might actually die. When Margarita caught on, they dropped all pretense and forced her to the ground. One girl grabbed her legs to keep her from moving too much, while the other strangled her, using her free hand to cover her mouth so she couldn't scream. Margarita struggled to the end, kicking and scratching at the girls until she vomited. But because the mouth was covered, the vomit was sent right back down her throat, speeding up the process. When the girl died, Antonia and Maria dragged her body into Antonia's room, unsure of what to do with it. This is what I find weird and incredibly stupid. According to some reports, they had from 1 to 6 months planning this thing, but they didn't actually plan what they would do if they succeeded. Probably the biggest telling that they were really just 14-year-old girls. Anyways, they considered burning the body but realized that might result in some unwanted collateral damage. Then they proceeded to spend 2 hours hatching a plan to temporarily hide the body in the building's attic. So they stripped her body down until her underwear and kept her clothes despite them being evidence. Logic was, once this whole thing about her disappearing blows over, they would wear her nice clothes since they were envious of her in the first place. Stupid psychopathic children. So they put her clothes in a plastic bag and hid it in the apartment. They hid her body under a bunch of newspapers before wrapping it in a sheet. They carried the body up to the attic and stuck it into the ventilation shaft. How they didn't get noticed dragging around a human being-shaped sack all the way to the attic without getting spotted is beyond me. They thought they could keep it until they came up with a more permanent solution. But first, of course, they had to spoil themselves. This was hard work after all. So they sold Margarita's phone for 20 lev, which is about $20 adjusted for inflation, and then proceeded to have coffee at a cafe where they had a calm and casual conversation, showing no sense of remorse or guilt about what they had just done. Now, these kids literally just killed, and repeat their reaction for a second. They go out and have coffee bought with the victim's possessions. Most people would be out of it for days or even weeks, but these two are having coffee and calling it a day. But it doesn't just stop at coffee, because March 7th, 2004, when their parents were away, Antonia hosted a party in our apartment. The same apartment where they killed Margarita in, where her body was decomposing just above everybody's heads. One of the guests at this party was Margarita's ex-boyfriend, whom Maria unsurprisingly liked. According to him, these girls were cheerful, drinking vodka as if they had something to celebrate, which wasn't far from the truth because they felt as though they had accomplished something so brilliant they just couldn't bear to keep it a secret. You want to know what else they thought was brilliant? Confessing their crime to an even younger friend. This is where Ali comes in. And again, they expected her to be in awe of this amazing achievement. But when she reacted the way she reacted, that's when they threatened her. Which brings us to now, March 11th, 2004. These kid killers gave their full confession, and turns out these cycles were really just motivated by jealousy. Pure envy is what led them to plan this thing, stating that Margarita was more popular, everybody liked her instead of them. She was happier than they were, which was another problem. On top of that, any boys Antonia and Maria liked Margarita instead. So this envy is what had them start planning to offer as early as September of 2003. The girls told the court everything, but only took them one day for them to change their stories. Now they and their lawyers was on some Margarita's death was an accident, honest. These girls were really just testing their judo holds on her, and then she stopped breathing, and then CPR, and then blah blah blah. Listen, first of all, it doesn't matter how much you pay me, you'll never see me representing some psychopathic murderers like this. And on top of that, these lawyers go up there and straight up lie. But I guess that's exactly what lawyers do anyway, so either way, they are degenerates. It took a long time for trials to begin, but they did eventually. October 13th, 2004, the kid murderers basically undid all the work their lawyers had done to create that false narrative. Antonia admitted that they killed Margarita purely because of jealousy, and that again, all boys that she was interested in liked her more. So they saw her as an obstacle to remove. The girl also claimed that one time she was raped at a party and accused Margarita of not helping her, which is completely out of left field because even if that were true, let alone the fact that you're accusing the deceased of doing something that she can't defend herself of, would that really justify killing someone? Maria, meanwhile, well, Maria just wanted lunch, no joke. According to court proceedings, she requested the trial be paused so she could go out and have lunch. After lunch, she bore no guilt for the murder of Margarita. January 13th, 2005, literally 2 days after I was born, Antonia Mateva and Maria Gergenenova were both found guilty for the murder of Margarita Gergenenova. But because they were minors, the court was lenient on their sentence and gave them 8 short years of prison time, which apparently is 2 years short of the maximum sentence a minor could receive in Bulgaria. Now, if I was the court, I would give you 20 years, no parole. I don't care if you're a minor, I don't really give a damn. You're telling me that these kids get to walk free in a few years, in their early 20s, and they have their whole lives ahead of them, while they literally while they literally killed a child who literally did nothing wrong to them, mind you. But I digress because it gets worse. Despite how short their sentence was, these psycho kids burst into tears upon hearing it. Oh, boo-hoo, you killed the kid. What did you expect? Pat on the back? Actually, that is what they expected given how they reacted to Ali's reaction. They also had to pay about $75,000 left in compensation to Margarita's family, which is about $88,000 to $120,000 adjusted for inflation. The court also ordered the school they went to publicly announce the verdict to the students. Would you believe me if I told you that the parents of these child murderers were actually also degenerates themselves? After the verdict was announced, apparently Antonia's parents told the reporters that they felt no guilt of what their daughter had done, that they made precisely 0 mistakes in raising her. It makes me sick. But again, it gets worse. June 21st, 2005, the lawyers appealed the sentence to the Plovdiv appellate. English is not my first language, guys. The appeal returned with their decision on June 21st, 2005. And get this, their court sentences were reduced to about 7.5 years each. Again, sources vary. Oh, and the court never explained why they did it. But of course, the lawyers were happy with it. March 16th, 2006, when the prosecution's turn to appeal came, the Bulgarian Supreme Court upheld the new sentences, making the decision final. While these two trouble fucks were in prison, their friendship remained strong, and they studied a lot for when they get out. They took a theater course, learned to embroider, blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares. They graduated in '09 in prison. December 7th, 2009. Antonia was released early due to good behavior. She moved back in with her parents in the same apartment where she killed Margarita. She became kind of an introvert after she was free, really leaving her apartment unexpected. Her parents, though, they were constantly bombarded with reporters and whatnot, but they never gave an interview. The only statement they gave was that Antonia was, quote, vain and could not appear outside without makeup and a hairstyle. Maria stayed in prison a little while longer, receiving a diploma as a computer operator and word processor. Congrats, you can use a computer. November 16th, 2010. Maria walked out of prison a free woman. Neither her or Maria served the time they were supposed to serve. Maria's psychologist's dad, though, was willing to speak to the media and refused to call her daughter a killer. Said it only happened because Maria became acquainted with bad girls. You might be expecting him to be referring to Antonia, but he was actually talking about Margarita as the bad girl. Yes. Now, keep in mind, this man is a psychologist. His reason for this left-field accusation is that, according to him, Margarita was a threat to Maria's life. Let me explain. The psychologist says that Margarita tried to introduce Maria and Antonia to another one of her friends, a pimp. He says that she tried to force these girls into prostitution. Therefore, Margarita is only killed in self-defense to avoid such a fate. Let's unpack this for a minute, because let's say that what this psychologist is saying is true and that he was not indeed on crack. Why exactly would the reaction to a 14-year-old girl introducing her two friends to a pimp and then forcing them into prostitution results in these two girls killing her? In what universe do those two things equate? Now, not only is this troglodyte essentially saying that Margarita deserved her fate, he's also claiming that she was a hoe, or at least associated with hoes. But it gets worse, and I'm starting to sense a theme here. According to him, again, the psychologist, the police were involved in this whole scheme. They concocted the envy-based motive to cover up. This is nonsense. Because if the police were involved, why was it your daughter who went up into court and declared that she was envious of Margarita? It doesn't quite line up. Oh, but it's not only the cops, because this man says that the court was in on it too. Therefore, the unlawful panel had no right to judge her daughter. I'm done with this, man. Antonia now lives in Italy. Moved there after fearing a vendetta or whatever. Maria also left Bulgaria, though it's not known where she lives currently. I hope they have terrible lives. You don't deserve what happened to her. As for Margarita's mother, she moved to Spain to escape the pain of the memories of her daughter's murder. Same with Margarita's father, who now lives in Sweden. Her mother remarried and had a second daughter whom she named after Margarita. That's it for this episode, man. It was a tough one to go through, tough one to begin with. My heart goes out to Margarita's family. You don't deserve that. I don't wish that upon anyone. That's really about it, man. See you next time.